There's only one thing better than opening weekend in the NFL, and that's opening weekend at Acrisure Stadium. This Sunday, the Pittsburgh Steelers return home for the first time in the 2025 season after a thrilling but concerning 34-32 win over the New York Jets. The energy in the stadium will be electric. The fans? Loud, proud, and hungry for more. But if Pittsburgh's defense doesn't tighten up, particularly against the run, the celebration might be short-lived. Week may first have gone down as a win in the record books, but if we're being honest, it didn't feel like a typical steel curtain performance. The Jets ran wild, racking up 182 rushing yards, mostly thanks to Justin Fields' dual-threat ability and some tough running from Breece Hall. The defense looked vulnerable, and that's not a word Steelers fans like to associate with their team. Head coach Mike Tomlin isn't one to panic or overreact. But during Tuesday's press conference, he made it crystal clear. Changes are needed. When asked what he wanted to see from his run defense in Week 2, Tomlin didn't go on a long-winded speech or throw players under the bus. Instead, he offered one perfectly chosen word. I want us to be stouter. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't emotional. But it was everything it needed to be. Classic Tomlin. Direct, precise, and challenging. The Pittsburgh Steelers must bring their best run defense against the Seattle Seahawks. Not better, not dominant, just stouter. A subtle reminder that Pittsburgh's defense doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. They just need to get back to doing what they've always been known for, setting the tone physically, winning at the line of scrimmage, and making opposing running backs regret suiting up. That's especially important this week, with the Seattle Seahawks coming to town. Seattle brings a hard-nosed identity of their own, headlined by the backfield duo of Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. Behind a physical and improving offensive line, both runners are capable of turning small holes into big plays, and if the Steelers' front doesn't bring their lunch pail, it could be a long afternoon. This isn't hyperbole. It's reality. If Pittsburgh wants to build momentum and stack wins early in the season, the run defense must improve, and fast. The offense did its job in Week 1, but expecting shootouts every week isn't a sustainable model, especially not with a veteran like Aaron Rodgers under center. Keeping him upright and out of comeback mode starts with keeping the opposing offense off the field. Tomlin's message was simple. Not harsh, not panicked, but serious. Be stouter. It's a challenge to his linemen, his linebackers, and his entire defensive unit. Play Pittsburgh football. Own the trenches. Reclaim the identity. Because while a win during the home opener is always sweet, a win with a dominant, physical defense. Now that would be even sweeter. An era is over. The New York Jets are set to release wide receiver Xavier Gipson today, per Brian Costello of the New York Post. Gipson fumbled a kickoff return in the second half in Week 1. The Pittsburgh Steelers immediately cashed that turnover in for a touchdown. Pittsburgh ultimately won the game 34-32. Head coach Aaron Glenn called that a 14-point swing in the game. The Jets are planning on releasing Xavier Gipson today, per source. Gipson had the costly fumble on Sunday, and now the team is moving on. Head coach Aaron Glenn proves to be a man of his word. The one thing to me that turned this game is, man, we can't have turnovers. Can't do it, Coach Glenn told the media on Sunday, September 7th, after the team's Week 1 loss. That is something that will be addressed, because you will not be on the field with this team if you're going to cause us to lose games, if you're going to cause issues like that. So, we will get that addressed. It was addressed with Gipson getting tossed from the roster. Gipson, 24, entered the league as an undrafted free agent in 2023. He made the 53-man roster and immediately made the Jets look good. In his first ever NFL game, Gipson had a 65-yard walk-off punt return touchdown to beat the Buffalo Bills 22-16. However, it was all downhill from there for Gipson. Gipson finished his Jets tenure with 27 receptions for 268 receiving yards, and he scored 2 total touchdowns. Top social media reactions to Gipson getting dumped. You will not be on the field if you cause us to lose games. Aaron Glenn on Sunday following the loss. When Aaron Glenn preaches accountability, he means it. It's refreshing, Jet Nation posted. You will not be on the field if you cause us to lose games. Aaron Glenn on Sunday following the loss. When Aaron Glenn preaches accountability, he means it. It's refreshing. The Jets are moving on from Xavier Gipson. Aaron Glenn isn't playing around. Options now at returner on the active roster include Keen Nwangwu, injured, Arian Smith, Isaiah Davis. On the practice squad, RB Keelan Robinson and WR Jamal Pritchett, Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic said on social media. The Jets are moving on from Xavier Gipson. Aaron Glenn isn't playing around. Options now at returner on the active roster include Keen Nwangwu, injured, Arian Smith, Isaiah Davis. The Gipson Play Sunday was the fourth most impactful EPA/Play Sunday across the NFL at 5.7 points. Glenn said if you cost the team points you won't play. He clearly means it. Gipson is a good dude but simply hasn't been good enough the last 25 months. Was an easy but needed move, NFL analyst Will Parkinson reacted. The Gipson Play Sunday was the fourth most impactful EPA/Play Sunday across the NFL at 5.7 points. Glenn said if you cost the team points you won't play. He clearly means it. Gipson is a good dude but simply hasn't been good enough the last 25 months. Was an easy but needed move. If Mike Florio's sources are correct, the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in Miami Dolphins' Tyreek Hill. After making a blockbuster deal with the Dolphins in late June that brought over DB Jalen Ramsey and T. Jonnu Smith, the Steelers are keeping tabs on Hill as another potential playmaker. Appearing on 93.7 The Fan Wednesday afternoon, Florio added color to a recent article that expressed chatter about Pittsburgh and Hill. I'll give you a little nugget that made the Steelers' chatter a little more interesting to me, Florio told the fans Andrew Filipponi and Chris Mueller. The same guy who told me that Jalen Ramsey was going to be a Steeler, right when the first talk emerged of the Dolphins trading Jalen Ramsey, told me that the Steelers want Tyreek. And I scoffed when this guy first told me that the Steelers want Jalen Ramsey. And that was back in April. So, I'm taking this a little more seriously. We didn't write Florio's initial comments because chatter is so vague and unclear. Today's comments are much more specific and sourced with an apparent positive track record. However, it's important to mention that Florio made clear his source passed those comments along before new allegations from Hill's estranged wife of domestic violence on multiple occasions. The NFL is reportedly looking into the matter. The NFL is looking into the allegations of domestic violation against Tyreek Hill by his estranged wife. It's standard policy for the league to review a matter such as this, a league spokesman tells at NFL on CBS. Catching 4 passes for 40 passes, Hill's Dolphins were rocked in Week 1, and more losses will turn the team into a seller by the trade deadline. Returning to the Kansas City Chiefs are easy to connect, but Hill carries a $10 million base salary while the Chiefs currently have just over $2 million in cap space. Each week that goes by reduces the amount of money another team would have to pay him, but the Steelers are financially in a better spot than many other receiver-needy teams. Hill's contract voids after the 2026 season. Of course, it's fair to question if the Steelers consider themselves receiver-needy. Calvin Austin III had a strong 2024 campaign and kept things rolling in Week 1, catching 4 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown against the New York Jets. Depth behind DK Metcalf and Austin is thin, but the Steelers also view tight ends Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith as de facto receivers who are integral to the passing game. Even if Pittsburgh has interest in Hill, the looming possibility of NFL discipline stemming from the domestic violence allegations could damper any talks. Any trade involving Hill still isn't likely to happen for several more weeks, giving time for clarity on Pittsburgh's receiver depth and Hill's legal situation.